Bitcoin has no future as a payments network. Big statements coming from Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX CEO. I want to share what else he had to say. President Bukele of El Salvador hosted 44 countries today to talk about Bitcoin, how they can make it legal tender. We also have Goldman Sachs partnering with a huge firm to make investments into a crypto infrastructure company. And I want to tell you about the Luna situation, what else has been happening, how much Bitcoin they've sold, and what other folks are saying. We're going to talk about this and much more. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you are new here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. It helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. If you're listening on a podcast site, please give me a 5-star rating. Guys, quick word from our new sponsor, and that is Linked, which provides private equity investments. It makes it easy for the average Joe to do this. Now, you do have to be an accredited investor, but you can get equity into companies, crypto companies like Ripple, Kraken, Uphold, Abra, and other tech companies, guys. I've often talked about how VCs and huge investors are double dipping in this asset class. They are buying the tokens, which many of us are doing, but they're also getting equity into companies that are building the infrastructure, guys. So Linked makes it really easy to do this. I think they're the first company to be able to offer this for crypto companies. So huge opportunity here. And yes, I'm going to be investing. They also have BlockFi and like I mentioned, Ripple, BitPay, and many well-known crypto companies. So be sure to check it out, guys. Check out the link in the description. Go to that and you can sign up and see if it's for you. Now, let's look at the market here. Bitcoin actually back over 30,000, but it looks like it dipped just a little bit below 30,000. So has it found its bottom? I'm hoping so. Some people are saying it may not have, and it could continue to go down. At this point, I am in a holding pattern, a wait and see what happens, right? I don't want to be catching a falling knife. So I'm going to look at buying the dip, DCAing, even though I may have to wait another year to see a return, but I have a long-term macro outlook. So obviously the alts are down, and I personally think it's a good buying opportunity, but this is not financial or investment advice. You have to assess your risk tolerance because there is risk here. Not that crypto is going to die, but rather when you may see a return, things may go down before they go back up, right? So just as I always say, have a macro view. Don't invest what you're not willing to lose, guys. That's important. And I want to show you this following graph here, how crypto is usually portrayed in the media. When it's at its peak, they call it a bubble. When it's at its bottom, they call it dead. We've seen this. I've been here since 2016. This is what they do. So don't fall for the media narratives. Look at the fundamentals, look at the trends, the technical analysis, and look at what the big money, the institutional players are doing and the governments, and they're moving in the direction of crypto. So it's not what they say, but what they do. Remember that, guys. It doesn't matter if somebody goes on TV and says, oh, crypto's dead. Okay, but let me go see who's still investing. Is Goldman Sachs still investing? Yes. Are all these major VCs and so forth still investing? Yes. Right? Are the governments working out crypto regulations? Yes. So remember, look at the market holistically, look at it from a macro perspective. Now, Elon Musk, and I think this is important to call out because Elon is in the mix with crypto and the SEC and so forth. He said just recently, inflation was caused by the government's decision to print money. Now, recently, the government opened an investigation into Elon Musk. I feel like he's making these statements as a pushback. He's exposing the narrative that, the media follows with the government that, oh, Putin caused it or this caused it, right? But we know they printed more money than they ever did in the history of the United States. Within the COVID situation, and that led to inflation, right? Record-breaking inflation. So here's what's going to happen, though, guys. While they're doing their QT or quantitative tightening, where they're trying to save the economy from inflation and they're raising rates and so forth, they're not going to be able to do that for a long time. They're doing that to normalize things essentially and push the value of the dollar higher. right? To make hold that power as the world reserve currency. But make no mistake about it, we've talked about it, later this year or possibly into next year, it's back to QE, quantitative easing, more printing, more buying of equities and assets and so forth. The Fed's going to continue to do that, guys. It's do that. They've started, this snowball that's rolling, and they can't stop it. They just got to keep going. It has to keep going, right? And it's going to continue to get bigger. So this is where, once again, patience is important. Now, the Luna Foundation, this is interesting, some details that came out today. They have sold 80,000 Bitcoin, just 313 Bitcoin left in reserves. Ouch. Now, obviously, this is for the stablecoin UST, which has collapsed. Luna, Terra Luna itself has collapsed. I personally didn't have it in my portfolio. I know a lot of people did. And look, there's even people who showed up at Do Kwon's apartment. Oh my gosh. I mean, here's the statements. The suspect that trespassed the apartment of Terra CEO Do Kwon was reportedly an investor who lost $2.3 million. There are also reports of people committing suicide and so forth. Guys, I'm going to say it again. Don't invest what you're not able to lose. I've been pretty transparent with my holdings. I have my 401k, I have my savings, I pay my bills. I am not investing money I can't afford to lose. Everything I have in my crypto goes to zero. It's going to really suck. It's going to hurt, and I'm not going to be happy about it. But guess what? My life will still function. I still have my savings, right? And I'm still paying my bills. So people who put all their money in your life savings, that is not a smart move. I don't care if you do it with stocks or crypto or real estate. That is not a smart move, guys. And don't fall into that trap. Oh, this is definitely going to happen, or there are no guarantees or certainties when it comes to investing. I don't care if it's in Bitcoin. There are no certainties. We don't know what tomorrow holds. None of us know the future, right? So please, I hope, you guys, there's none of you who are in this type of situation where you put your life savings into something. That is very risky. Now, here today, we had the new CFTC chairman on CNBC talking about the regulation of cryptocurrencies. I'm not going to play the clip because it's not really much that he had to say that's new. But, here's a quote. I could say for sure Bitcoin is a commodity, says CFTC Chairman Rostin Benham. I think it makes sense that each agency has jurisdiction over commodities and securities respectively. So part of what he said was that Bitcoin and Ethereum, he believes, are commodities, but he didn't mention any other cryptos, but he didn't say all of the other altcoins were securities. He said some of them may be securities, but some are commodities as well. So I think we're seeing this dynamic, this continued battle for control over the markets and the crypto market specifically. And obviously he's going up against Gary Gensler. And we know that a lot of folks in Congress are not happy with Gary Gensler and the SEC because they're using the outdated Howey test and going after crypto companies. So I hope a lot of this falls under the CFTC because they are not trying to kill the market or, do anything, bring draconian laws. They are trying to help foster innovation, as opposed to Gary Gensler and the SEC, right? That's not to say the SEC doesn't have a job to do. Sure, they do. They have to go after scams and protect retail investors. But we know they're going after legitimate companies, right? Such as Ripple, Library, and others. So the battle continues here, and you're going to see a lot of media narratives and a lot of interviews and these things that are put forth. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried made some statements recently, and he did clarify them, but he said, and this is according to the Financial Times, Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of FTX, and he's also the CEO, said that Bitcoin has no future as a payments network because of its inefficiency and high environmental costs. Countries such as El Salvador and Central African Republic have adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. Sam said, to be clear, I also said that it does have potential as a store of value. The Bitcoin network can sustain thousands/millions of transactions per second, although Bitcoin can be transferred on Lightning / layer twos / etc. Now, Jack Dorsey, who's a big proponent of Bitcoin and Lightning, responded to that and said, and you didn't bring up Lightning because, but here's the thing, guys. Sam is right. Does that mean he's going to be right forever, that Lightning won't help fix this? Maybe not, right? Maybe not. We'll just have to see. But at this point, Bitcoin, I think, digital gold, and that is hard money. And don't expect lots of transactions or low fees for transactions and so forth. I think as the first cryptocurrency, the first hedge, and all these things, it is great. But is it great for everyday normal use? No. And I think if these folks are being truthful with themselves and actually being honest, hey, let's look at the technology and let's have some constructive criticism here. It is not, but it's a great store of value, and it's been the best bet in the crypto market and the safest bet, right? Because it's been around longer. It's been proven longer than some of these other altcoins. So I have Bitcoin in my portfolio as a matter of diversifying, and it's done well for me. And I'm not looking to use it for daily payments. I'll use other cryptocurrencies which are faster, maybe like XRP. But I do see the value of of Bitcoin as digital gold, as a hedge. And obviously altcoins move with Bitcoin, so it's I think makes sense to have Bitcoin in your portfolio. So of course there's back and forth and all these things. And Lightning, while it's up and running in certain places, it doesn't have the global reach yet, and a global adoption. So we'll see if it gets to that point. I think Jack, I understand what he's saying and what he's trying to build, but you got to, at some point, it has to go beyond talking and get to the finished product, and Lightning has to be integrated with different places. So eventually maybe you'll do that. We just don't know. It's still early, but we have to see it before we believe it, I think. So interesting statements from Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, President Bukele of El Salvador, he had 44 countries in El Salvador today to discuss Bitcoin, and he tweeted out yesterday. He said, tomorrow 32 central banks and 12 financial authorities, 44 countries, will meet in El Salvador to discuss financial inclusion, digital economy, banking, the unbanked, the Bitcoin rollout, and its benefits in our country. Guys, this is huge. This is huge. This is kind of like what Michael Saylor did with Bitcoin for corporations, where he's bringing in different companies and showing them how to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. He was the one who convinced Elon Musk to do this, to have Tesla and SpaceX add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. So President Bukele is doing the same for other countries. This is something to watch closely. I will see which countries. I'm sure not all of them are going to follow, right? But if they get at least half, I mean, that's going to be huge. So I think this is just a start, guys. Adoption is on the horizon. Now, Grayscale launched in their first European crypto ETF. It will be listed in the UK, Italy, and Germany. This is significant. And obviously, they've been trying to convert their GBTC trust into a Bitcoin spot ETF, which they've been talking about. They've been talking to the SEC, and they even, at one point mentioned they would be ready to take legal action if the SEC denied them. And, I think, I don't know for sure, but I tweeted at all these folks after my interview with Joseph Grunfeld, former SEC commissioner, where he said these folks could sue the SEC for not approving a spot ETF. So maybe it came from my interview, but who knows? But this is pretty significant and shows you that crypto is global. These guys are launching ETFs in other countries. If only Gary Gensler and the SEC could get their act together. Now, Dawn Capital, Goldman Sachs plows $70 million into crypto infrastructure provider. Global banking giant Goldman Sachs and European VC firm Dawn Capital have poured fresh capital into Elwood Technologies. The list of investors included a mix of both traditional and crypto native firms, making another instance of convergence between mainstream and digital assets. Guys, watch what they do, not what they say. Look at the money that's going in and look who it's coming from, Goldman Sachs and these other VCs and so forth. So Dawn Capital, Europe's largest B2B venture capital firm by total assets under management, which is at $1.5 billion, and global banking giant Goldman Sachs co-led the $70 million Series A funding round. Now, why do you think Goldman Sachs is participating in this, guys? I thought crypto's dead. I thought Bitcoin's going to zero. I thought some people are saying it's going to $3,000 or something, right? They know, guys, markets move in cycles. We're in a bear market now. Guess what? Bull market's going to come back, rinse and repeat. And this is how you make money. This is why I keep preaching for years. Have a macro outlook, take profits, DCA, don't invest what you're not willing to lose, and be patient, right? The other folks who are involved in this, check this out: Barclays, BlockFi Ventures, Chimera Ventures, Commerce Ventures, Digital Currency Group, Flow Traders, and Galaxy Digital Ventures also participated in the round. And you're investing in crypto infrastructure companies, guys. Pretty amazing what's happening. Now, finally, Ron Hammond of the Blockchain Association, who's a frequent guest on this show, he gives his weekly update on what's happening with crypto in DC. He said, this week in Congress and crypto, last week's crypto crash did not go unnoticed in DC. For months, Congress has grappled with stablecoin legislation. However, algorithmic stablecoins were something not on the radar of most. And the question remains, what now? Here's the latest. He said, for the past several months, Congress has hosted multiple hearings and briefings on stablecoins. The technology is appealing to most, but the largest concern was with Tether, audits, redemption, and reserves. Algos were too small and new to be considered at the time. So I'm sure they're going to add algorithmic stablecoins to the blacklist. Those are probably going to be banned, or if not, just banned from certain country usage of in certain ways, or they're going to have to be under heavy scrutiny. I also think Tether might be banned, and USDC, because it's with a regulated entity such as Circle, may become the predominant stablecoin in the United States. So he says here, it wasn't just Congress. The Biden administration's presidential working group, report on stablecoin regulation barely considered algos and heavily focused on fiat-backed stablecoins. This report put the ball in Congress court, saying they would need to craft legislation. Even amid the crash last week, Secretary Yellen testified several times that Congress needs to craft a comprehensive and bipartisan regulatory framework for stablecoins. That is a pretty tough lift for a number of reasons. This is an election year, meaning Congress has little more than 50 days of votes before November. Partisan tensions are high as each party focuses on campaign messaging themes: inflation, Roe versus Wade, economy, Russia, gun violence, etc. Bipartisanship is tough around this time. He says, however, that doesn't mean it's impossible. And there has been bipartisan support around the regulation of stablecoins. Several members of Congress have introduced bills on this topic, and I can confirm there will be more released in the coming weeks. So guys, I don't think this is impossible, as Ron says here, because we are seeing both sides of the aisle come together. And that's one issue I think they mostly agree with the exception of the crazy Elizabeth Warren, who's buddies with Gary Gensler. I think we're seeing a lot more members of Congress, both on both sides of the aisle, come together on crypto. And, with the stablecoin collapse, I think of Terra, stablecoin collapse, I'm speaking of UST. I think that could be the catalyst to help push this through. And I think, look, the government is more concerned about stablecoins than they are Bitcoin and other altcoins. I think we've seen that, right? Even Fed Chair Jerome Powell, you guys remember in November, he said, we're not banning Bitcoin or crypto, but stablecoins they're worried about because, look, the CBDC, the digital dollar, is coming and they want that to be used. And stablecoins are a threat to CBDCs. they don't view Bitcoin as a threat to CBDCs at all. Even though, some people try to put that narrative out there, with all the big players that are holding Bitcoin now, even look, the government has seized the Bitcoin. They are holding some, they sell it, all kinds of stuff, right? They're not trying to ban Bitcoin and crypto, but stable coins and certain stable coins, they will try to ban because it competes with the digital dollar and the US dollar, because people are going to be using that and they can't track that properly and what's happening. So, and as well as the issuance and verifying the issuance. So I think that's what's on the horizon. So I don't think we're going to see, any heavy-handed regulations around altcoins, but rather stable coins. And yes, the SEC will continue to get pressure for to provide an updated Howey test. And maybe the, in the stablecoin regulation, they sneak in there, or I shouldn't say sneak in, but they put in there regulations regarding how the SEC should handle things, or or I should say, what should the CFTC handle as well? So we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to get Ron back on the show to talk about these things. But that's the news, my friends. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and I'll talk to you all later.